Hello, thank you for watching. I am Mark John Sternal, and this is the video version of Bass Guitar Total Scales Techniques and Applications, also known as TSTA. In this course, we are going to learn how to play and make music on the entire fretboard. Rather than learn a short scale or note pattern, we are going to learn to apply these notes anywhere on the neck. We are also going to learn popular tricks and techniques to use with these scale notes, as well as patterns and applications, all of which are used to play and make every known style of music. Since this is a course on scales, we are going to focus on several styles of music, and throughout this video, we will be using several bass guitars and several different tone settings. The first part of this video includes a bonus beginner section to ensure that anyone, regardless of playing level, will be able to use this course. If this is your first time using TSTA, I highly recommend that you play along from beginning to end, following each section in order. Section 2 covers basic bass guitar fundamentals, which I found many players don't know, and therefore struggle even though they may have been playing for several years. If you decide to skip a section and later find that you do not understand a term, technique, or phrase, chances are it was explained in the section you skipped. Once we've covered the basics and fundamentals, the real bass playing starts in Section 3. Each lesson includes a detailed explanation, then a slow or beginner speed demonstration, followed by a faster, advanced speed. If you were just learning to play the bass guitar, don't worry if you cannot play the faster sections. You will find that the beginner speed increases for each lesson, and by the time you've completed this video course, you will be able to play the advanced speed by starting over again from the beginning. For advanced players, I strongly recommend that you play along with both the slow and advanced speeds for a thorough bass guitar workout. When you have finished this course, you will have at your command an unlimited musical vocabulary for your bass guitar. This section is for complete beginners. I want to make sure any bass guitarist at any playing level can use this video. If you consider yourself experienced at reading note charts, tab, and sheet music, you can skip ahead to Section 2, Bass Guitar Fundamentals. By the most simplified definition, a bass guitar is made of 4 strings and several frets. The strings are numbered 1 through 4, starting with the thinnest string being number 1, through the thickest string being number 4. There is also a nut. The nut is sometimes referred to as the 0 fret or open. Frets are the bars that run across the fretboard horizontal to the strings. The frets are also numbered, starting with the nut being 0 or open. Most basses have more than 20 frets. Music is made on the bass by simply picking a string. You can pick a string open without touching any frets or strings, or you can place one of your fingers directly behind a fret and pick that string. If the fretted note is dull or muted, check for these problems. 1. Is your finger directly above the fret wire? If so, move it back directly behind the fret, apply pressure, and pick the string. 2. Is your finger too far back, away from the fret wire? This requires a lot of unnecessary pressure. To correct this, slide your finger close to the fret so it is directly behind it, apply pressure, and pick the string. That's all there is to it. If you can play this note, consider yourself a brand new bass guitarist. This video uses chord charts, traditional music notation, and tablature, also known as tab. This is a note chart. Each vertical line, up and down line, represents a string. From left to right, the vertical lines represent the 4th or thickest string, then the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st strings. Each horizontal line represents a fret. Dots are placed on the note chart to show you which strings and frets to hold in order to play scales or chords. In some cases, like this example, hollow dots represent an open string. This note chart shows 3 dots on the first string. The dots represent the notes to play on the fretboard. To play the notes below, simply pick the first string open, then the first fret, then the third fret. You can also play it descending by picking the first string, third fret, then first fret, then open. Here we are using more than one string. To play the notes on this chart, pick the second string open, first fret, third fret, then play the first string open, then the first fret, then the third fret. You can also play this descending by starting with the first string, third fret, then first fret and open, then play the second string, third fret, first fret, then open. When notes are intended to be played on higher frets, the fret number is listed to the left or right of the chart. The previous exercise didn't use fret numbers because the notes were near the open position or within range of the nut. In this exercise, the number 7 tells us that the lowest fret we use is the 7th fret. To play this section, start with the first string, 7th fret, followed by the 8th fret, then 10th fret. Or, to play it descending, start with the first string, 10th fret, then 8th fret, then the 7th fret. Bass tablature, or tab, uses 4 lines. Each line represents a string. The bottom line being the 4th and lowest pitch string, the thickest string, and the top line representing the first or highest pitch string, the thinnest string. Instead of using musical notes for each line, numbers are used to represent the fret that is to be played. For example, if a 3 is written on the 3rd line, you would play the 3rd fret on the 3rd string. If a 4 is written on the 3rd line, followed by a 5, you would play the 4th fret on the 3rd string, followed by the 5th fret on the 3rd string. If you were to play more than one note at a time, the notes would be written one on top of the other. If a 4 is written on the 3rd line, and directly below it a 5 is written on the 4th line, you would play the 4th fret on the 3rd string along with the 5th fret on the 4th string at the same time. There is also tablature for 5 and 6 string basses. You'll be able to use this video even if you do not learn to read traditional notation. However, we have included an introduction in this section. Music is traditionally written on a staff. A staff consists of 5 lines and 4 spaces, which represent the different notes of the musical alphabet. The notes represented on the staff come from our musical alphabet. They are A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. After the G note, the alphabet starts over with A. This also works in reverse if you are playing or writing the notes backwards. G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, and so on. Bass music is written on the bass clef. Whenever you see this symbol, the music can be played on a bass guitar. The notes of the bass clef start with G on the very bottom line. The space above G represents an A note. The line above A represents B. The space above B represents C, and so on. Notes can extend above and below the staff by the use of ledger lines. There are also different versions of most notes called accidentals. Accidentals consist of sharps and flats. To make a note sharp is to raise it 1 fret on the bass. To make a note flat is to lower it 1 fret on the bass. One way of writing sharps or flats on the staff is to place the symbol before the note you want to change. Another way of writing sharps or flats is to use a key signature. Simply put, a key signature is a group of sharps or flats at the very beginning of a staff line. The sharp or flat note in the key signature indicates that all notes of the same name will be altered throughout the piece of music. For example, if the key signature has a sharp symbol on an F, you are to play F sharp in place of F for the remainder of the piece of music, unless otherwise indicated by another accidental symbol. When a sharp or flat note needs to be changed back to its original non-accidental state, a natural symbol is used. Most bass guitar music uses both tablature and staff notation, which allows you to choose which method of reading you would like to use. Bar lines are the vertical lines that divide tablature and staff music into sections. A measure is the space between bar lines. Each measure uses an equal set of beats. The amount of beats is determined by the time signature. For example, in 4/4 timing, each measure equals 4 beats. In 3/4 timing, each measure will equal 3 beats. In 2/4 timing, each measure will equal 2 beats. The most popular time signature is 4/4 timing. 4/4 timing is also called common time and is sometimes identified with the letter C in the time signature. Another way to identify 4/4 timing or common time is to leave the time signature blank. The tempo of a song determines how fast or how slow each measure is counted. For example, 40 BPM means you would count 40 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 80 BPM means you would count 80 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 160 BPM means you would count 160 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are many different timing notes. For starters, the whole note equals 4 beats, or one whole measure in 4/4 timing. The half note equals 2 beats. The quarter note equals 1 beat. These notes and timings will be explained more thoroughly as they are used throughout this video. This section includes a comprehensive look at the fundamentals of the bass guitar. I am of strong belief that musicians should know their instrument, and you as a bassist should know your bass. The musical alphabet consists of 12 notes. They are A sharp and B flat, B, C, C sharp and D flat, D, D sharp and E flat, E, F, F sharp and G flat, G, G sharp and A flat, and A. Notice that the 2nd, 5th, 7th, 10th, and 12th notes have 2 different names. For example, the 2nd note can be A sharp or B flat. It is the same note, but it has 2 different names. The notes A, B, C, D, E, F, and G are called basic or natural notes. All of the sharp and flat notes are called accidentals. Each of the 4 strings on the bass guitar have been assigned a specific note. The 4th string, which is the top and heaviest string, is the E string. When this string is played open, with no frets, it will produce an E pitch. Each fret after that will bring you to the next note in the musical alphabet. So if you play the 1st fret on the 6th string, it will produce an F note. The 2nd fret will produce an F sharp or G flat note. The 3rd fret will produce a G note. Next is G sharp, A flat, then A. The 6th fret will be an A sharp or B flat. The 7th fret is B, 8th fret is C, and so on. Once you reach the 12th fret, the musical alphabet will repeat itself, starting with the E note. On the screen is a note chart provided for your reference. Some of the notes have been highlighted and are connected by a line. The notes that share the same color highlight are the same pitch and will aid you in tuning your bass. For example, if your low E string is already in tune, you can use the A note on the 4th string, 5th fret to tune the A note on the 3rd string open. Play the 5th fret of the E string, then play the open A string. Compare the two notes and adjust the pitch of the 3rd string to match that of the 4th string, 5th fret by tightening or loosening the tuning peg. You can apply this to the 5th fret of the 3rd string to tune the 2nd string open to a D note. Then, the 5th fret of the 2nd string to tune the 1st string to an open G note. If you're having a hard time tuning your bass guitar by ear, I recommend an electric tuner. Electric tuners are inexpensive and will save you from the frustration that comes with playing a bass that is out of tune. The tuner that I am using for this video is a Boss TU-80. To tune your instrument, pick an open string. If the display lights up to the left of center, that means your string is too loose and you need to tighten the tuning peg. If the display lights up to the right, it means your string is too tight and you need to loosen it until the meter lines up in the center. Then you're in tune. There is also a virtual tuner included in the bonus section of this video, which will allow you to match the pitch of your bass to standard pitch for each string. Playing in tune is very important for beginner bassists. You want to develop a sense of pitch as soon as possible, so if you don't already have an electric tuner, I highly recommend that you get one. Also, if your bass goes out of tune easily, or if it sounds out of tune when you play the higher numbered frets, take it to your local music store and have a guitar technician take a look at it. Chances are it may only need a few minor adjustments. Positioning of your hands is very important when playing the bass. Pay close attention to this section and get in the habit of keeping your fingers and hands in the proper positions at all times. If you're using your fingers to pick with your middle and index fingers. Always alternate fingers, beginning with your middle, then index. If you are using a pick, hold it between your thumb and index finger. The tip of the pick should be pointing in the direction of your index finger. When using a pick, always alternate your picking strokes, down, up, down, up. Bend your wrist or your elbow when picking. Avoid any movement of your thumb or index finger. Your other 3 fingers should be rolled into your palm or stretched out and braced against the body of your bass guitar below the 1st string. Slapping is another common approach for playing the bass. Instead of using a pick or fingers, your thumb is used to produce a heavier sound. To slap, start with your thumb away from the desired string. Rotate your wrist or elbow to slap the desired string with the edge or knuckle of your thumb, then pull your thumb away. The slapping symbol is usually a T. Some transcriptions will have text telling you to slap the notes. Popping will give you a bright or punchier tone. To pop a note, curl your picking finger under the string so your nail is facing the body of your bass. Then pull your finger away from the bass, releasing the string. If you are a beginner bassist, or if these are new techniques for you, take some time to practice them. I recommend that you practice every lesson on this video using all 4 picking techniques. This will give you a wide variety of sounds for everything you learn. The following exercises will help you develop these techniques. To help us keep steady time, we are going to be using a metronome set at a very slow 40 beats per minute. There are 4 beats per measure. A quarter note receives 1 beat. The count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The first time through, we'll play this by picking with our fingers. If that was too slow for you, you can always speed up the tempo. For example, here is the same exercise 3 times faster at 120 beats per minute. Here's the same exercise played with a pick. Now we'll use the slap technique. And once with the popping technique. Get in the habit of positioning the fingers of your playing hand 1 fret apart each. Press down on the 1st fret with your 1st finger. 2nd fret, 2nd finger. 3rd fret, 3rd finger. And 4th fret, 4th finger. Keep your thumb behind your middle finger in the center of the neck. Many bass players allow their thumb to hang over the top edge of the guitar. There are some techniques that require this positioning, but overall it will slow you down. When you're not playing a note, your fingers should remain in this position 1/2 inch above the string, while your thumb always remains in contact with the neck. This positioning should be used anywhere on the fretboard. So if you move your hand up the neck, your fingers will stay 1 fret apart each. Here are some common fingerings which you will find throughout this video. There are only 3, and once you learn them, you will be able to play almost everything taught in this course. The first fingering is called 1-2-4, and just like it suggests, you use your 1st, 2nd, and 4th fingers of your playing hand to play the notes on each string, skipping your 3rd finger. Here it is starting on the 7th fret of the 4th string. Next we have the 1-3-4 fingering, where you use your 1st finger, skip your 2nd and use your 3rd finger, then your 4th. Finally, we have the most difficult fingering, where you will use your 1st finger, skip a fret by stretching your 2nd finger, then use your 4th finger. Since this is the most difficult fingering, you might not always use it when playing live or with a band. However, incorporating it into your practice time will certainly strengthen your fingers and make you a better player. If you are comfortable using these 3 fingerings, then you are ready to move on and start playing scales. You will find that these fingerings can be used to cover the entire fretboard of the guitar, and often come in pairs or threes when being used with scale positions. If you are a complete beginner, you can still use this course, but you might want to spend a week or 2 with individual strings before jumping into scale positions. Our starter course, Bass Guitar DVD number 1, Beginner Basics and Beyond, might be just what you need to bridge the gap between individual strings and playing scales on the entire fretboard. The natural scale consists of the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. It is called the natural scale because it consists of all natural notes and no accidentals, meaning no sharps or no flat notes. Scales are the key to writing music. The notes of a scale complement each other and can be used together to create chords, melodies, and harmonies, giving you a solid foundation to build or write your own songs, as well as learn your favorite pieces from other musicians. The 2 most common types of scales are the major and minor scales. A major scale has what some would describe as a bright or happy sound. A minor scale has what some might describe as a mellow, soft, or sad sound. Rather than learning major and minor scales separate, TSTA gives you a jump start by teaching one scale that encompasses both. It's called the natural scale. Scales have what we call key centers or root notes. To determine whether or not a scale is major or minor, in this case, would depend on the root note. The root note is the main note of a song, or in our case, the scale. For example, when using the notes of the natural scale, if your root note is a C note, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, our scale is major. If our root note is an A note, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, our scale is minor. Both the C major and A minor scales share the same notes. This is also known as a relative minor scale. So in the key of C, or C major, A is the relative minor. Pay close attention to our major and minor root notes. Knowing their locations will give you the ability to write a song in the major or minor key and change any song from major to minor. This will also allow you to change keys during a song. There are 7 notes in the natural scale. Therefore, we have 7 scale positions. Each position starts with a different scale note. The beauty of these 7 positions is that they are universal for every key of music. So later on, when we start learning key changes, you will already know the fingering patterns. Since E is the lowest possible note on a standard tuned bass, we are going to begin our scale pattern on the E note. In the key of C major, E is the 3rd scale note. C, D, E. 1, 2, 3. So the E position is also known as the 3rd position. Let's begin with a step-by-step approach to playing our scale. First, we'll slowly go through the scale, making sure to use the correct fingers. Then we'll practice it at 2 different speeds. Starting with the notes on the first measure, the 4th string notes, the E note is played on the open 4th string. The F note is played by holding the 1st fret using your 1st finger. Then the G note is played by holding the 3rd fret using your 3rd finger. allow each note to ring out until the next note is played. For example, on the 4th string, when you are playing the 1st fret, hold that note until you've played the 3rd fret. Then lift the 1st finger from the 1st fret. This will give you a smooth transition between notes. If you are using your fingers to pick these notes, be sure to alternate between the middle and index finger of your picking hand. If you are using a pick, be sure to alternate your picking strokes, down, up, down. In the 2nd measure, the 3rd string notes, play the open A, play B on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger, and play C on the 3rd fret using your 3rd finger. In the 3rd measure, we introduce the 2nd string notes. Play D open on the 2nd string, play E 2nd finger, 2nd fret, and play F 3rd finger, 3rd fret. The 4th measure brings us to the 1st string notes. Pick G 1st string open, A 2nd fret, 2nd finger, and the B note is on the 4th fret, 4th finger. Keep the thumb of your playing hand directly behind your middle finger in the center of the neck. For the scale position we just learned, your thumb should be behind the 2nd fret for all 4 strings. A lot of players like to use different fingerings when they are first learning these positions. It might be easier at first, but it doesn't flow as smoothly with the notes on the other strings. I suggest that you practice each scale position long enough to play it comfortably. Also, memorizing the notes is helpful, but it is more important to use the proper positioning. Once you are comfortable using proper fingers, move on and you'll find memorizing each note will come automatically as you play through this video course. Remember, the natural scale includes a major root note and a relative minor root note. The C major root note is on the 3rd string, 3rd fret, and the A minor root notes are on the 3rd string open and the 1st string, 2nd fret. Remembering the location of root notes will help you tremendously when writing, improvising, and playing solos. Now that we have dissected this position and learned the correct picking and fingering, let's play along with the tempo. For the beginners, we will start out at a slow tempo of 40 beats per minute, or 40 BPM. Then we'll speed it up a bit. We are playing 3 beats per measure, so the count is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We are also going to learn the scale pattern descending. It is the same fingerings, but everything is played in reverse. Here's the scale at 80 beats per measure. If that was too slow for you, don't worry. We'll be playing a lot faster before the next section of this video. Here's a tip for beginners. An entire piece of sheet music can sometimes look menacing. Break it down into small sections that you can handle. For example, focus on the first measure. Play it, then play it again. In fact, loop it over and over until it becomes smooth. Now learn the second measure by itself. When it becomes comfortable, combine the two measures. Keep adding measure by measure. And pretty soon, you'll be playing the entire musical piece in one sitting. F is the fourth note in the C major scale. C, D, E, F. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is also called the fourth position of the C major scale. The fourth string notes use a stretch, which may require some practice for beginner bassists. Use fingers 1, 2, and 4 for the fourth string, and fingers 1, 2, and 4 for the third and second strings. Use fingers 1, 3, and 4 for the first string. Remember, allow each note to ring out until the next one is played. Also, always alternate your picking strokes. For the F position, your thumb should be behind the third fret. If these groups of notes are giving you trouble, you can use different fingers until you are more comfortable with the suggested fingerings. If you consider yourself an intermediate or advanced player, learn the correct fingerings. You will find your playing will become more fluent and you will sound noticeably better. For this position, the C major root notes are on the third string, 3rd fret, and the first string, 5th fret. A minor root notes are on the 4th string, 5th fret, and the first string, 2nd fret. We'll play this slow, then speed it up, starting at 60 beats per minute or 60 BPM, then again at 120 BPM for more advanced players. Play along with the metronome starting at a slow pace, and when you can repeat a section a few times without error, increase the tempo 3 to 5 notches. If you can still play it comfortably at that pace, increase the tempo more. Do this until you reach your breaking point, and make a note of the tempo. If your top speed is 100 beats per minute, try for 105 the next day, then 110 the day after. Keep doing this, and you'll be playing lightning fast in no time. The G or 5th position C major scale has a starting on the 3rd fret of the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string with the 1, stretch, 2, 4 positioning. Then move up to the 1, 2, 4 position starting on the 4th fret of the 1st string. For this entire position, your thumb will be behind the 5th fret. The C major root notes are on the 3rd string, 3rd fret, and the 1st string, 5th fret. The A minor root notes are on the 4th string, 5th fret, and the second string 7th fret. We'll start at 70 BPM for a slow run, then 140 BPM for advanced players. A is also the root or first position of the minor scale. The A position uses fingers 1, 3, 4, starting on the 5th fret of the 4th and 3rd strings, and fingers 1, stretch, 2, 4 for the 2nd and 1st string. Place your thumb behind the 6th or 7th fret for this entire position. You might even shift it when you move up to the 2nd and 1st strings. The C root notes are on the 4th string 8th fret and the 1st string 5th fret. A minor root notes are on the 4th string 5th fret and 2nd string 7th fret. Here's this position at 80 BPM and again at 160 BPM. B is the 7th tone in the C major scale, so B is also considered the 7th position. Here, we're playing our B note starting on the 7th fret of the 4th string, and this position uses fingers 1, 2, and 4 for the 4th and 3rd strings, and fingers 1, 3, and 4 for the 2nd and 1st strings. Your thumb can rest behind the 8th fret for the entire position. The C root notes are on the 4th string 8th fret and the 2nd string 10th fret. An A minor root note can be found on the 2nd string 7th fret. The C, or first position C major scale, starts on the 8th fret of the 4th string. You're going to use fingers 1, 2, and 4 for all 4 strings, with your thumb behind the 10th fret. On the 4th and 3rd string, we use positions 1, stretch, 2, 4, starting on the 8th fret, and for the 2nd and 1st string, we move up to the 9th fret and use the non-stretch 1, 2, 4 position. The C major root notes are on the 4th string 8th fret and 2nd string 10th fret. There's an A minor root note on the 3rd string 12th fret. The D or second position of the C major scale has a start on the 4th string 10th fret with fingers 1, 3, and 4, and fingers 1 stretch 2, 4 for the rest. The C major root note is on the 2nd string 10th fret. The A minor root notes are on the 3rd string 12th fret and 1st string 14th fret. Here is the E or 3rd position again. This is the octave of the open position. Notice that the notes in the E octave position are patterned identically to the notes of the open position. It is the same position played 1 octave or 12 notes or frets higher. This can be applied to every position that we learn. F, starting with the 13th fret of the 4th string. G with the 15th fret, A with the 17th, B on the 19th fret, C on the 20th, and D on the 22nd fret, provided that your bass guitar's frets go high enough. The octave E position starts on the 12th fret. The 4th string notes are played with your 1st, 2nd, and 4th fingers. Strings 3 and 2 are played with your 1st, 3rd, and 4th fingers. And the 1st string uses the 1 stretch 2, 4 position. The C major root note is on the 3rd string 15th fret. A minor root notes are on the 3rd string 12th fret and 1st string 14th fret. In standard tuning, the open strings on a 5-string bass are tuned to B, E, A, D, and G. If you play a 5-string bass, these are the notes for each of the previous scale positions for the 5th or low string. These are also the same notes you would use on the 6th string of a 6-string bass. In standard tuning, the open strings on a 6-string bass are tuned to B, E, A, D, G, and C. The low strings on a 6-string bass are the same as the low notes of a 5-string bass. The image on the screen shows the first string notes for each of the previous positions for a 6-string bass guitar. If you are interested in memorizing these scale positions or learning to play them faster, this section is for you. First, we will ascend up the neck, then down the neck, playing each position faster as we go, starting at 100 BPM and ending at 250 BPM. People often ask me, how do you write bass lines or bass solos? The answer can be both simple and complex. I'll start out by answering simply, and throughout this video, I'll give you ideas for making your bass lines and solos more complex. Use different scale notes and positions together to create bass lines. To start, use scale notes only. Try any combination of scale notes. If you are playing with another musician, he or she should use chords taken from the scale you are playing. For example, C, F, and G are scale notes that can be used as chords. If the other musician is playing a rhythm using these chords, the most basic bass line would be to play the notes that name each chord. But you can easily play a more interesting bass line by using the natural scale along with the chords. To make your bass line stand out, you can use the different techniques and applications provided in this video and even invent a few of your own. As you get more comfortable, you can begin to change keys and even scales during a bass line, song, or a bass solo. There is no end to the possibilities of what you could do to any single note or group of notes. Take this scale and explore every possibility. Music is emotion. Learn to put your personal feelings into your playing. Happiness, sadness, love, hate, excitement, aggression. These are your personal feelings that you can express in your music. Write them, learn them, play them fast and slow. Question and answer or Q&A phrasing is another technique used for creating bass lines. Pick a scale position. By playing any combination of scale notes, other than the root note or key note, you can write a melody that sounds incomplete. This will pose as a question. To complete the question, play any combination of scale notes ending on the root note. This will pose as an answer. The natural scale can either be used as a major or minor key. There are also other modes of the natural scale, as well as key changes, which will be covered later on. For the key of C major, I'll play a simple question phrase by playing the B, D, then E note. For the answer, we'll complete the phrase by playing D, B, and end on C. Notice that we're including the root note for the answer. Here we'll take our scale and focus on the key of A minor. For the question, we can play C, D, then E. Remember, a question uses scale notes but avoids the root note. So for the answer, we will include the root note and we'll play D, C, and end on A, our minor root note. Here it is without speaking. Take some time and see how many 3- and 4-note Q&A phrases you can write. Another way to play a question phrase is to play any combination of scale notes, including the root note, but not ending on the root note. So for a minor example, we can start on A, play C, D, then C again for the question, or we can start on A and play C, D, and D for a question. For the answer, you can include any scale notes but end on the root note. You can also play different combinations of Q&A phrases. For example, place your focus on the question phrase by playing a question, question, then an answer. Here's one in the key of C major. Or you can drive home the focus on your answer by playing question, answer, answer. As we move on, after you have learned a technique or application in the upcoming sections, pause this video and create new Q&A phrases by incorporating the new technique or application. Each scale note can be used as a chord. These chords will complement each other just as the individual scale notes complement each other. You can use these chords to write a rhythm progression, then use the individual scale notes to write bass lines and melodies over the chords. These are the major and minor chords taken from the key of C. With the exception of B and B minor, every chord uses scale notes from the key of C. The B chord is a diminished chord. Because of its unusual tone, it is sometimes substituted with a B or B minor chord. There are several ways you can play these chords. You can pluck them all with your fingers, or you can strum them with a pick. It might be difficult to slap all three at the same time, but it can be done. A lot of bass players will slap the lowest note of a chord, then pop the remaining notes. This is sometimes called slap pop, or slapping and popping. For the C chord, slap the C note with your thumb. That's a note on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. then pop the E on the second fret, second string, then pop the G on the first string open. You can also slap the C note with your thumb, then pop the E and G at the same time using both the index finger and middle finger. We will explore several techniques and applications on this video that can be used with the slapping and popping techniques. The double note patterns later in this course are perfect for this technique. Once a chord is established, you can enhance your bass lines by exploring the rest of the scale notes. The next few chapters will give you plenty of ideas for adding to your bass lines. The most simple way to create a bass guitar solo is to use the scale notes only. Remember, scales are the foundation of music. We use scales to structure every audible part of a song, the melody, harmony, and the chords. In this section, we will learn some scale applications to be used with each scale position that you've learned. Rather than playing a scale ascending or descending from string to string, applications give you different melody patterns that keep the scale and your bass guitar playing interesting. These will greatly enhance your playing and writing ability. Listen for these applications when you are listening to your favorite songs. You will find that they are not just applied to the bass guitar. You will hear them in piano, voice, guitar, as well as many other musical instruments. Here we will break our scale into patterns of 2. So rather than playing the scale position straight through, we will begin with the first scale note, then play the second. Next, begin again on the second scale note and end on the third scale note. Play the third, then end on the fourth. Fourth note, fifth note, sixth, and on through the scale. So your pattern is 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5. We are going to apply increments of 2 to the open E or third scale position. Allow each note to ring out for a full count. This application is written in 2/4 timing. There are 2 beats per measure. A quarter note receives 1 beat. The count is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Here it is applied to the open E or third scale position of the C major A minor scale at a slow pace of 80 BPM. Without the use of sheet music, test your memory and try to play this pattern descending. Here it is a little bit faster at 160 BPM. I highly recommend that you apply this in all applications to every scale position that you've learned. Here we break the scale into patterns of 3. Begin with the first, then second scale note, end on the third. Begin again on the second scale note, then third, end on the fourth. Start on the third, then fourth, end on the fifth, fourth, fifth, end on the sixth. So your pattern altogether is 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, and on through the scale. Allow each note to ring out for a full count. This application is written in 3/4 timing. There are 3 beats per measure. A quarter note receives 1 beat. The count is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here it is applied to the F or fourth scale position of the C major A minor scale at a slow pace of 85 BPM and double time at 170 BPM. Without the use of sheet music, test your memory and try to play this pattern descending. For the two strings application, we're going to be playing 3 scale notes on each string of any scale position, breaking the scale into patterns of 2 strings. So, starting on the 4th string, we play notes 1, 2, and 3, followed by the 3rd string notes 4, 5, and 6. Then we repeat the 3rd string notes 4, 5, and 6, then add the notes on the 2nd string. So your pattern is notes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This application is written in 3/4 timing using eighth notes. There are 3 beats per measure. An eighth note receives half a beat, so the count is 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Here it is applied to the 5th scale position at a slow pace of 60 BPM, then 120 BPM. These applications are written out for you to get comfortable playing them on every string of your bass guitar. However, you probably will not use every string in a song because it would sound monotonous. The best way to use these applications is by mixing them up with others, or mixing them in with chords or lead phrases. For example, you might get an interesting sounding riff by mixing increments of 2, then 3 strings. Here we're going to play the 4th string notes, followed by the 3rd string notes, and back 1 note. Then repeat the 3rd string notes, and the 2nd string notes, and back 1 note. 2nd and 1st string notes, and back 1 note. This application is written in 4/4 timing using eighth notes and quarter notes. There are 4 beats per measure. An eighth note receives half a beat. A quarter note receives 1 beat. The count is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Playing 3 scale notes on each string of any scale position, break the scale into patterns of 3 strings, 9 scale notes total, starting with the 4th string, 3rd, 2nd string. Then we repeat the notes on the 3rd string, 2nd, and 4th. And then we descend. This application is written in 3/4 timing using triplets. Triplets are 1/8 notes written in groups of 3. A triplet receives 1/3 of a beat. The count is 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a. Applied to the 7th scale position at a slow pace of 40 BPM, then a little bit faster at 80 BPM. This application has us playing the notes on 3 strings and then descending 4 notes. We begin again on the 3rd string and descend 4 notes. You can also play it in reverse. This application is written in 4/4 timing using 16th notes, triplets, and 1/8 notes. A 16th note receives 1/4 of a beat. A triplet receives 1/3 of a beat. An 1/8 note receives half a beat. The count is 1 E and a, 2 and a, 3 E and a, 4 and. 1 E and a, 2 and a, 3 E and a, 4 and. Applied to the C or 1st scale position at a slow pace of 40 BPM, then 80 BPM. To incorporate rhythm, this pattern was written out mixing 16th, triplet, and 1/8 notes. This and any scale pattern or application can easily be applied to a straight duration. For example, here is the descending pattern played with straight 16th notes. Please take time and explore different rhythms with your favorite scale positions and applications. Breaking the scale into patterns of 4, we begin with the 4th string notes 1, 2, and 3, and on the 3rd string, note 4. Notes 2 and 3 on the 4th string, then notes 4 and 5 on the 3rd string. The 3rd scale note on the 4th string, then notes 4, 5, and 6 on the 3rd string. The pattern is 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6. This application is written in 4/4 timing using quarter notes. The quarter note receives 1 beat. The count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Applied to the D or 2nd scale position of the C major scale, first at a slow pace of 130 BPM with quarter notes, then double time at 130 BPM with eighth notes. To play the last application with eighth notes, each note would receive half a beat. The count would now be 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, 4 and. Here it is ascending and descending at a pace of 130 BPM. To play increments of 4 using 16th notes, each note would receive a quarter of one beat. The count would be 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. To play increments of 4 in 3/4 timing, you could play any combination of 2 quarter notes and 2 eighth notes. Using 2 quarter notes followed by 2 eighth notes, the count would be 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and. Here it is descending at a pace of 130 BPM. Using 1 quarter note, followed by 2 eighth notes, followed by another quarter note, the count would be 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. Here it is ascending and descending at 130 BPM. Feel free to pause this video and explore different rhythms by applying any timing to any note or group of notes, and be sure to experiment with different timings on all applications. This application is increments of 4 and back 1 note. The pattern is 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. This is written in 4/4 timing using quarter notes and eighth notes. A quarter note receives 1 beat, an eighth note receives half a beat. The count is 1, 2, 3, 4 and. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and. Here it is descending at double speed, 200 BPM. Instead of using eighth notes at the end of each measure, the entire piece is played with quarter notes in 5/4 timing using 5 full beats per measure. For the step-down application, we're playing in the E or third scale position. However, we're starting with the second scale note, followed by the first, then the third scale note, followed by the second, fourth, then third, fifth, then fourth, sixth, then fifth, and on through the pattern. This application is written in 2/4 timing using quarter notes. There are 2 beats per measure, and a quarter note receives 1 beat. The count is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. The opposite of the step down application is step up. So here you'll play your 7th scale note, and then the 8th, 6th, then 7th, 5th, then 6th, 4th, then 5th, and on through the scale. This application is written in 4/4 timing using 8th notes. An 8th note receives half a beat. The count is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, played at 120. Earlier in this section, I suggested that you try playing these applications with different rhythms. Here are some basic principles to help you further explore timing. This chart below will show you the breakdown of the notes from whole to 16th notes in 4/4 timing. A whole note receives 4 beats per measure, so you would play the note counting 1, 2, 3, 4. A half note equals 2 beats, so you would play the note for 1, 2, 3, 4. Quarter notes receive 1 beat each, 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth notes are split into half a beat, so we add the and pulse in between each number count. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 16th notes break each note into 4 pulses, so now our timing will be 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. I'll play the rhythm on this chart using the open G for the first string. In 4/4 timing, a rhythm can use any combination of note types as long as the total count equals 4 complete beats. The following are some examples of rhythm combinations using half and quarter notes. Notice that each measure equals 4 beats. In rhythm 1, the combination is half, quarter, quarter, so the first note is held the longest. Hold the half note for counts 1 and 2. 1, 2. Play a quarter note for the 3 count. Play a quarter note for the 4 count. The total beats equals 4. You can repeat this rhythm over and over again. It can be applied to a single note, scale notes, scale applications, chords, and so on. Here is rhythm 1 applied to an open E. Rhythm 2 is the combination of quarter, half, quarter. The second note is held the longest. Hold the quarter note for count 1, half note for counts 2 and 3. Hold a quarter note for the 4 count. Here is rhythm 2 applied to the notes E, F, and G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Rhythm 3 is the combination of 2 quarter notes followed by a half note. The third note is held the longest. Hold the quarter note for beat 1, hold a quarter note for beat 2, hold the half note for beats 3 and 4. Total beats equals 4. Here is rhythm 3 applied to notes A, G, and F. Eighth notes equal half a beat, so each count needs to be separated into 2 pulses. Instead of using a basic count, 1, 2, 3, 4, eighth notes are counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. In rhythm 1, the combination is half, quarter, eighth, eighth. Because the 4th beat consists of 2 eighth notes, it needs to be split into 2 accents. Instead of counting the 4th beat as 4, you need to count it as 4 and. Hold the half note for counts 1 and 2. Play a quarter note for the 3 count, play an eighth note for 4, and play an eighth note for and. Total beats still equals 4. Here's rhythm 1 applied to increments of 4 in the A or 6th position. Rhythm 2 is the combination of quarter, half, eighth, eighth. Again, the 4 count is split into 2 accents to accommodate the 2 eighth notes. Hold the quarter note for count 1, hold the half note for counts 2 and 3, hold an eighth note for the 4, hold an eighth note for and. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Here is rhythm 2 applied to increments of 4 in the B or 7th position. Rhythm 3 is the combination of quarter, eighth, eighth, half. There are 2 eighth notes in the space of the 2 count, so it is split into 2 accents, 2 and. Hold the quarter note for the 1 count, an eighth note for 2, an eighth note for and hold the half note for the 3 beat and the 4 beat. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Here is rhythm 3 applied to increments of 4 in the C or 1st position. This rhythm example uses half, quarter, eighth, and 16th notes. 16th notes equal a quarter of a beat, so each count needs to be separated into 4 pulses. In rhythm 1, the combination is half, eighth, eighth, 16th, 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 16th. Because the 4th beat consists of 4 16th notes, it needs to be split into 4 accents. Instead of counting the 4th beat as 4, you need to count it as 4 E and A. Hold the half note for counts 1 and 2, play an eighth note for the 3 count, play an eighth note for the and count, play a 16th note for the 4, 16th note for E, 16th note for and, 16th note for A. The total beats is 4 beats. Here is rhythm 1 applied to the D or 2nd position. Rhythm 2 is a combination of quarter, eighth, eighth, 16th, 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 quarter. There are 4 16th notes in the space of the 3 count, so it is split up into 4 accents, 3 E and A. Hold the quarter note for the 1 count, hold an 8th note for the 2 count, hold an 8th note for the and count, 16th note for 3, 16th note for E, 16th note for and, 16th note for A. Then play a quarter note for the 4 count. Total beats equals 4. Here is rhythm 2 applied to the E or 3rd position. By simple definition, a technique is a way to manipulate a note and make it sound different. To be able to play notes is one thing, but to move a listener, or even yourself as a player, you need to do more than just play a note. You need to give it life. Although there is no substitute for soul, learning and using techniques will certainly help you achieve the status quicker. The techniques offered on this video are intended to give life to your music. As I progressed as a musician, I began to realize that a single note is just as important, if not more important, than any group of notes. Give your music life. Give each note you play an emotion. When you play the notes in this course, listen for an emotion or feeling. They are not predetermined. There is no wrong or right emotion. It is open to what you hear and feel. This is what music is, and this is your journey to become a better musician. For the double picking technique, we're simply going to pick each note twice. The palm mute is achieved by resting the palm of your picking hand on the string you are picking. You can also use your pinky as an extension of your palm to mute higher strings, if your palm doesn't cover all of the strings. You can alter the duration of the note you are playing by moving your palm closer or farther from the bridge while playing a note. The symbol for the palm mute is a P period, M period, followed by a dotted line. The dotted line will extend for as long as you are required to apply the palm mute. Notice the break on the 3rd measure where the B note on the 3rd string 2nd fret is not palm muted. This combination is written in 4/4 timing using triplets and 16th notes. Here we are playing increments of 3 double picking and palm muting, then increments of 4 double picking and palm muting. Vibrato is excellent for building finger strength. It is achieved by continuously bending a note and returning it to its original pitch. To apply this technique, allow your thumb of your playing hand to hang over the neck of your bass above your middle finger. Use the appropriate playing finger to hold the note you want to play, and bend or shake the string by twisting your forearm. Do not bend your wrist, and do not bend the string by bending your fingers. What you want to do is hold the note and just rotate your hand or rotate your wrist. You may find it difficult to apply vibrato with your pinky. If so, substitute those notes with your ring finger by sliding it up to whichever note you want to play and apply the vibrato technique. The vibrato technique is difficult to achieve on the first string of most bass guitars, so don't worry too much if you can't get it to shake on the first string. We'll start out very slow, exaggerating the bending of each note. And as you build up strength and build up speed, eventually vibrato will become second nature to you. Here it is applied to the C position, first at 80 BPM, then 160. Passing tones are non-scale notes played between scale notes. So between C and D, you have a passing tone on the 9th fret. Passing tones may not sound desirable out of sequence, but they can be used to connect two scale notes together. In this exercise, the initials P period, T period have been placed above each passing tone. Here it is at 120 BPM. Play this exercise at a slow pace, holding each note for a 4 count, bending the string for each count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Eventually you'll build up enough speed and the vibrato with passing tones will become second nature. The hammer-on technique is achieved by picking a note, then hammering a higher fret on the same string with your free fingers to produce another note without picking again. For example, play the 3rd string, 5th fret with your first finger, picking only once. Then using the tip of your 3rd finger, hammer onto the 7th fret without picking that note. You can control the sound level of your hammer-on by how hard or how soft you apply this technique. Here is an exercise that combines hammer-ons with passing tones and gives us a very rapid-sounding musical movement. There is a slide at the end of the first two measures. The symbol for a slide is a slash with an SL above it. Slides are achieved by sliding your finger up or down the fretboard while holding a note. In the piece below, slide the 11th fret notes to the 12th fret on the 4th and 3rd string.